Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to talk to you about my reading plans for March, which I can't believe it's already March, but anyway, those reading plans are very specific because for multiple reasons I decided to only read books by women, authored by women in March. First of all, because March has Women's Day, you know, on the 8th of March, it's International Women's Day. And I think the entirety of March is also kind of a little bit like Women's History Month. But anyway, that is one of the reasons. The second reason is that I currently am angry at men, specifically men writing fantasy. Because, well, I'll get into that. I'll have a whole review about it, and I'll probably also get into it in my wrap-up. But yeah, because of that, I just really do not want to read books by men right now. So only women it is, which to be honest is not hard because most of my TBR is women. Obviously, like 2/3 of the books that I read are written by women. So yeah, I as always I actually have too many books here right now. Well, whatever. Just, you know, I'm gonna leave out the non-fiction for this month because I once again have not read any pages in my non-fictions in February, so we're just gonna continue that. I'm gonna leave out the non-fiction this month and instead have just 6 fiction books because I do not want to decide on which book I want to read in March. So yeah, let's get into it. First, let's start with the buddy read for my book club. My book club, of course, is of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, and that book club is all about reading adult fantasy written by women and genderqueer folks. And in March, the book that won for March is Skalkula by Hannah Kana, which has gotten a lot of hype recently, and I am pretty excited for it. Although I am really surprised because this is adult high fantasy, but it's under 300 pages. Like, it's literally 290 pages. So that's a bit weird to me. But yeah, this is the book that we'll read. If you're interested in joining us, the links to the Discord are left down below, and usually I just upload a poll on the Discord about halfway, 2/3 through the month, and then you can vote on which book you want to read next month. And as I said, for March, this one won. I do not know anything about this book except that it's about a person who kills gods and makes a living from it, and I think it also has female rage in it, as far as I heard, which, you know, in my current mood is amazing. Great. I want to read all the books about female rage right now. But yeah, I have the Illumicrate copy, which is just like, look at those end papers. They're like foiled end papers. It's so pretty, and I also love the art on the hardback, although I do not know who they are. Well, I'll find out, I guess. A book that I won't read in March, but that I just want to have mentioned because, you know, it kind of has to do with my book club, is we're currently doing a read-along on the Discord of my book club for the Kushiel's Legacy trilogies, like all 3 trilogies. And in March and April we're reading Kushiel's Chosen, which is the second book in Phaedra's trilogy. This series is about Phaedra, who is a courtesan spy. She has grown up to be kind of a prostitute, a high-end prostitute, because like sexuality and sex is very important in the society that she's in. However, she also has been trained as a spy, so she ends up being a courtesan spy, but through that she kind of ends up being drawn into the politics of her country, and that sometimes doesn't end the greatest way for her. So yeah, if you're interested in joining us, all the channels are still open, so don't worry, just catch up with the first book and then continue on with the second book. Although there's also a few people who are only starting with the second book. So if you've read the first book, if you need a motivation to continue on with the series, here's your motivation. I don't know why, but for some reason March just feels like the perfect time to once again read a Greek myth retelling from a female perspective, and for that one I currently have on my TBR Ithaca by Claire North. This is the Odyssey, but from Penelope's perspective, so Odysseus' wife, and that's, I think, all I know about it. Like 17 years ago, King Odysseus sailed to war with Troy, taking with him every man of fighting age from the Isle of Ithaca. None of them have returned, and the women of Ithaca have been left behind to run the kingdom. So it's like 7 years into Odysseus' voyage, because obviously 10 years of war and then 7 years on the voyage. And yeah, I am very interested to see how this goes. I've heard a ton of good things about it. So yeah, and it's been a while since I read a Greek myth retelling, to be honest. I have one other non-fantasy on my TBR. This one I bought, I think, at the beginning of last year, so it's been on my TBR, like it's one of the books that have been on my TBR, on my physical TBR, the longest. And that is Build Your House Around My Body by Violet Coppersmith. This is, I believe, like somewhat magical realism adjacent. It's by a Vietnamese American author, or Vietnamese author, one of the two. And it follows two timelines, one in the 1980s and one in 2011. And it follows two women, one of them Vietnamese, one of them Vietnamese American, who vanish and who go missing. And it's kind of their stories. And just, you know, I love, once again, it just feels like it's gonna have female rage. The back sounds amazing. Two young Vietnamese women go missing decades apart. Both are fearless, both are lost, and both will have their revenge. Like, just sounds right up my alley for my mood right now. Just love it. Also, I love the title of this book. Like, just, there's so much there in the title. I don't know why. I'm just hyped for this one. That is why I didn't pick it up until now, you know? I didn't pick it up until now because I just needed to wait for the right moment to be in the mood for it. So next I am going to continue on with a series, and this is gonna be a buddy read with Scylla. So the book I'm talking about is Prisoner of the Iron Sea Tower, which is the second book in the Tears of Artemis series by Sarah Ashe. I did not particularly enjoy book 1, to be honest, but I got book 2 and 3 used at a bookstore, so I'm committed to finishing the series. And I don't know why, I just felt like giving this author, this series, a second chance. So we'll see how I like it. Also, actually, the first book was quite big, quite thick. This one is as well, by the way. I think this one is like, yeah, 700 pages. But for how thick it was like such a fast read. So even if I don't overly enjoy it, I'm not too worried about getting through this one. And then the fifth book, before we get into my series TBR jar, I want to finish another series, and that is Trudy Canavan's Millennium's Rule series. The last book is called The Maker's Curse. By the way, I didn't say what Prisoner of the Iron Sea Tower is about. Basically, in the first book, our main character is kidnapped because he is the son of a king to this like northern kingdom, and the kings of that kingdom are kind of like monstrous. They have like a demon inside of them, and the previous king died, and so now his men come to take him and kidnap him to become the new king. That's the basic plot of the first book. But yeah, so continuing on with this one, with the Millennium's Rule series, I don't even know how to explain what this series is about, because so far every book has had such a different plot, and it's like every single book is its own contained story. However, they do have like, they're connected to each other. They feel like more like a series of standalones rather than a whole series. So I don't even know how to explain what this series is about. You have two perspectives, two different perspectives. One of the perspectives is a young girl who grows up in this very religious, fanatical society in which magic is forbidden. However, it is discovered that she has magic, and so she's kind of brought to this cloister thing. And the second perspective is of a magician who is an inventor, and he invents things. That's as well as I can explain the series, obviously. And yeah, it's kind of the life stories of the two characters. And yeah, I just finally want to finish the series, so that's why I put this on my TBR. And lastly, my series TBR jar. In this TBR jar, I obviously have all the series that are unfinished on my shelves that I still intend on finishing, and where new books are out in those series. However, this month I will pull from this TBR jar until I get a series that is authored by a woman. I am not going to read men in March, just telling you flat out, so let's go for it. Here is the post-it I pulled. Let's try and open it. Oop, this is kind of hard to open for some reason. Nope, I got the Dandelion Dynasty. It's not only written by a man, but also I will not continue this series until a friend of mine has read the 3rd book, because we're gonna buddy read the 4th book. So let's pick the next one. So this one is Girls of Paper and Fire. I actually finished this back in January. This TBR jar is not updated, or TBR cauldron, I guess. I have another one that I can't continue because I'm gonna continue. I mean, I guess I could reread the 1st book, but it's the series that it is. It's The Drowning Empire by Andrea Stewart. The reason why I do not want to continue on with this one is because in May, the 3rd book is gonna be published. I have the 1st book down here, but it's gonna be on the poll for the April read for my book club, so I don't wanna read it now. But let's just pick another one. If it ends up being not by a woman, if it ends up being by a man, although I don't know which series that would be, to be honest. If it ends up being by a man, then I'm going to be rereading, it's somewhere here, up here. I'm going to be rereading the 1st book, which is The Bone Shard Daughter, because it's now been like over 2 years, I believe, since I read this one, and I don't remember a lot. I had just intended to go into the 2nd book blind, you know. It's what I do sometimes, because things inevitably come back sooner or later, but let's see. And it's the Shadowfell Chronicles by Juliet Marillier. Yeah, we can do that. Where is it? I don't know where I have the Shadowfell Chronicles. I think they're up there somewhere. I do not know what they're about anymore. They're a YA series by Juliet Marillier, who used to be one of my favorite authors of all time. I now just haven't read anything new by her in a long time, so I don't know if I can still say that. And so I'm probably gonna reread Shadowfell, because when I read this the last time, I was like 16 years old. It's probably been 10 years or something, so I'm probably gonna reread the 1st one again, which isn't an issue because it's a fast reading YA, and then I'm gonna read the 2nd one. And maybe I'll just read The Bone Shard Daughter, or reread The Bone Shard Daughter after all. We'll see how much time I have in March to read. But yeah, that is it for my TBR in March. And so tell me in the comments down below, what are your reading plans for March? If you're interested in buddy reading any of the books, tell me as always in the comments down below, because as always, I am all up for buddy reads. If you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. All the links to my social media as well as to my book club, as I mentioned, are linked down below, so go and check those out, and I hope I'll see you very soon. Bye!